We've shot the Liberty Civil Defense in 9mm on the channel quite a few times. Today we're going to try the 40 Smith & Wesson out. It's got an advertised velocity of 2,000 feet per second with a 60 grain projectile. We'll shoot it over the chrono, see how close we get. Then we'll shoot some ballistics gel. Should be fun. Here's the 40 Smith & Wesson, a 60 grain projectile with an advertised velocity of 2,000 feet per second. I will zoom you in. $2,119. We've got that Liberty Civil Defense loaded up. This is the 40 Smith & Wesson out of my buddy's SIG P229. I don't shoot this gun worth a hoot, but let's see what we got here. We'll go up and take a look. So we've got a instant energy dump here, but pretty shallow. There's a good wound that goes to probably the 6-inch mark. I mean, it's just going to be a nasty, nasty wound right off the bat. But then we only go, like I said, to about the 6-inch mark. Then that disc is lodged right back there at 12 inches. They say 12 inches, and, you know, it's right on the money, 12 inches. For crowded areas and things like that, very urban environments where you don't want any collateral damage, I think this would be excellent. I would not recommend it for woods carry, where there might be large animals. It's just not got that penetration that a lot of bullets do. It is devastating, don't get me wrong, but it is not what, like I say, for woods carry, something like that out here in the rural areas, I'll take an HST or something like that. If I lived in town, apartment buildings, then yeah, I think this would just be the stuff. Now we've got a Cantaloupe. We're going to hit it with that 40 Smith & Wesson, that Liberty Civil Defense, 60 grain projectile, and the chrono said it was moving just a hair over 2,100 feet per second. Registered or advertised 2,000 feet per second. So let's see what we got here. That was pretty massive. We'll take a look. So the impact is very devastating looking. This did a lot more damage on the Cantaloupe than the 9mm have. But in that gel, it's a shallow, very devastating impact and wound. Like I said, I think it would be great for crowded environments. When it hits any soft tissue, that bullet just implodes all over itself. Detonates, I guess, would be a better word. So you've got a wound about 6 inches deep that's pretty major, and then the little disc goes to about a depth of 12 inches like we saw in the gel. So the other day we did the Hornady 40 Smith & Wesson, and this wound track right here is it, and it exited the 12-inch block. We also did the 180 grain Winchester, which is that wound path right there. That 180 grain Winchester white box did a really good job. It also exited this 12-inch block. Did a really poor job on this block, had a lot of bubbles in it, but here's from the top. This is that 180 grain Winchester white box, 40 Smith & Wesson, and over there is the Hornady American 180 grain. Now to compare that, ignore this right here. This is the Liberty Civil Defense, and like I said, the main wound path goes to about 6 inches, but then that disc just stopped right back here at 12 inches. So I don't know. It says 12 inches on the box. It performed admirably. This is the entrance. Very devastating looking. And there's the top view. And like I said, it goes to about 6 inches, doing a lot of damage. And instantly just dumped all of its energy right there. Again, we'll go over here. That Winchester white box did really good, though. So like I say, the Liberty Civil Defense, it's not perfect for everything, but it is very, very destructive. It's fairly barrier blind, but whenever it hits like something soft, whether it be a gel block or something else, that bullet just detonates immediately. And it's also a real pain in the butt to redo your gel blocks with it because it sends shards everywhere. I appreciate you guys watching, and this is the 40 Smith & Wesson in Liberty Civil Defense.